The game that I feel like Crimson Desert is going to be most similar to is Breath of the Wild, honestly. Brandon, I know that we've talked about it a lot, but the more I watch these videos, the more I feel like they're really leaning into the puzzle aspect of it and the exploration. And IGN put out their like final preview. I haven't watched it yet, so I'd like to see if they're coming to the same conclusion that I am. So have you, we're going to be talking about Crimson Desert because I'm a little bit obsessed right now. Have you heard about Crimson Desert? Actually have not. It's crazy. So I feel like there's a generational gap in knowledge about this game for some reason. Like everyone that's my age that does content creation is posting videos about it. And then whenever I talk to students about it, very few students know about it. Like you guys all seem to know about Resident Evil Requiem that just came out and like Marathon and stuff like that. But this is going to be a game of the year contender for sure. All right, let me see if I can switch it over. There we go.
And now, a bloody battle unfolds between the Greymanes, who fight to uphold his will, and the Black Bear forces that seek to set it aflame.
Every once in a while, a particularly ambitious game comes along and immediately hooks the audience. In Crimson Desert's case, showing a grand-scale world that recalls elements of Breath of the Wild and The Witcher 3 quickly garnered a mystique for its ridiculously over-the-top ambitions for a new open-world action game. However, since its reveal back in 2019, it has taken a long time to get a clearer picture of how the ambitions driving Crimson Desert have taken shape. And now, in 2026, it's garnered some healthy skepticism, leading many to feel it might be one of those games that's just too good to be true.
So it's ordinary folk who are paying the price.
Thankfully, with the now firm March 19th release date fast approaching, we have some extended hands-on time with developer
Okay, so I was watching a Luke Stevens, make sure that's video looks a little grainy. I was watching a Luke Stevens video talking about his hands-on time with it because they did a preview event, I think out in California, where they got 6 hours to play the game. And the Sky Island section, which is like looks identical to Tears of the Kingdom to me. He said that when he was up here, the developers were able to be like, he'd stand on one of these platforms and then like look over here, and you can like zoom in like in Skyrim or something like that to be first person. And the developers were pointing out things like, hey, you remember that video we posted of that one boss fight? Yeah, it's over here. If you look really closely, you can see him moving around. So the draw distances for the game are insane. I actually don't know how they're doing that, where you can see like figures, programmed figures all the way across the world. And they were running it in ultra wide 1440 with a last generation AMD GPU, the top tier one, 7900 XTX at 80 frames with no dips, which is kind of unbelievable at ultra settings. No upscaling or anything like that. So yeah, that's crazy. Most games don't even have half of that render. Yeah, I really don't know how they're doing it. Like, yeah, it seems too good to be true.
Pearl Abyss's large-scale single-player action game. After diving into the opening hours of this grand-scale sword and sorcery adventure, we got to see just how detailed and vast the world of Crimson Desert is in real time, and what sorts of oddball quests and brutal combat encounters are to come in protagonist Cliff's adventures
across
Pywell. Crimson Desert focuses on the story of wandering warrior Cliff, a member of the Greymane faction that seeks to keep the continent of Pywell safe during harsh times. But after a ruthless warlord decimates much of his crew, Cliff himself is seemingly killed in battle.
Spoilers.
But he's
I think it's like the intro
by
cutscene.
mysterious new allies that come from the Sky Realm known as the Abyss. Now tasked with rebuilding the Greymanes, he'll recruit new and returning members to his cause, push the limits of his newfound powers, and directly confront a civil war and a malevolent force that's threatening the balance of the world.
And I'm not sure I'd be much help on my own.
Originally planned as a direct prequel to the MMORPG Black Desert Online, Crimson Desert is now a standalone adventure set in the same universe.
So that's the other thing. It was originally supposed to be an MMO, like Black Desert, if you've heard of Black Desert, or like World of Warcraft or something like that. And they built a proprietary engine, so they built their own engine for the game. And there's a bunch of rumors, I don't know how substantial they are, that because the game was originally being built to be a massively multiplayer game, that they could still use the engine to be multiplayer, and that they might introduce like a multiplayer mode down the line where you can run around with people, sort of like a Red Dead Online or a GTA Online sort of world, which I just think is awesome. GTA has never really been my vibe, and I like Red Dead a lot, but I like fantasy and magic and stuff like that. So a fantasy magic Rockstar style online system sounds perfect.
Without knowing the lore of Black Desert Online, Crimson Desert...
I think this will start coming down to high efficiency and 3D modeling. I'd be curious in how they developed all their models and textures. Absolutely, yeah. Like I'd be very curious to see the exact like technology and methods that they're using to pull this off.
Desert keeps connections light, aside from the similar high fantasy setting and, occasional references. It totally throws itself into the style of a Western high fantasy epic, but with the added energy of an Eastern style action game in the vein of Final Fantasy.
Someone said it. I can't believe it was IGN. I've been waiting for someone to point out it, and they said Final Fantasy, but to me, the combat, because it's not from software, it's not really like dodge, parry, find an opening to get a couple hits. It looks way more combo oriented, way more like flashy. Honestly, to me, it kind of looks like Kingdom Hearts, like the best version of Kingdom Hearts combat, or like a Devil May Cry or something like that. But I mean, as you can tell, that excites me a lot.
Opening chapters of Crimson Desert do well to introduce Cliff as a rugged and stoic hero who can easily cut down enemies in his path, but is also willing to lend a helping hand to the citizens across the land.
But they got what was coming to them. All thanks to you.
Though much of the footage we've seen showcased the grand spectacle and ludicrous action in Crimson Desert, our hands-on time largely focused on the more laid-back tutorial set in the Hernand region of Pywell. We had played Crimson Desert 3 times before this extended hands-on, all of which focused on isolated times before...
I'm sorry, but how is that not just, like...
...set in the Hernand region of Pywell.
Show it again. That's straight out of Zelda. The dragons, that's so sick. I think I want to make sure that I don't get interrupted by an ad break real quick. Okay, it might happen. I don't know how to control it yet. We'll see. But I was just playing Breath of the Wild the other day with Brandy, and we were going across like a Hyrule Bridge, and the electric dragon like flies right next to it. Yeah, I just love how this game is taking everything and putting it together.
Crimson Desert 3 times before this extended hands-on, all of which focused on isolated boss battles and spectacle combat. But with this tutorial setting the tone for the pacing and storytelling, we've now got a much better idea of the larger structure of this open world adventure. While Crimson Desert has gotten a ton of comparisons to The Legend of Zelda, The Witcher, and even Dragon's Dogma, one game that really came to mind during our hands-on was Red Dead Redemption 2.
There you go.
Despite what we've seen before about how fast you navigate the massive world, at ground level, there is a surprising focus on navigating its densely populated areas with care and attention. We spent a lot of time just wandering the back alleys, interacting with people going about their day, finding new shops and cooking recipes, and even uncovering optional activities that do a good job of making the world feel bustling and lived in.
What a woeful fate.
Some of our favorite moments from the opening hours came from seeing what sorts of side quests the townsfolk would pull us into. In one instance,
I saw this clip on someone else's preview. So you would just walk up to this house, and this husband is laying on the roof. And he just rolls down the roof and pretends to be injured to get out of whatever his wife is trying to get him to do.
we encountered a man who fell from his roof and needed help with cleaning his chimney. And that is exactly what we ended up doing for this side quest. We climbed up on the roof, positioned ourselves on the top of the chimney, and used our newly acquired broom to clear out the gunk to help the husband get some relief.
Oh, my back. You've done me a huge favor there. Would you come off it, woman?
Look at him.
Despite the tone and action being serious, we were pleased to see how much humor and quirkiness were packed into Crimson Desert's opening hours. There are plenty of enemy bases to topple, but we also spent some time playing some back alley games of rock, paper, scissors with the local ruffians.
Let's play rock, paper, scissors.
No crying if you lose.
There's even a quest that had us rescue an abducted sheep to cheer up an upset child, and seeing the very serious Cliff engage in such activities was much more amusing than we expected.
Now, is this the friend you were looking for?
The lost sheep.
That's not Wooly. Wooly's got a fluffier tail.
Cliff begins his journey with a fairly modest skill set and knowledge of the world, and as in traditional open world action games, the larger pull of Crimson Desert will be to expand his abilities and insight. When you pick up quest information, recipes, and even bounty notices for roaming targets, Cliff will expand his knowledge and fill out his records of all the wildlife, characters, and important events of the world. We were impressed to see how much was packed into this
map. Oh man, I love a map. Okay. So maybe this is the tutorial area. I can't tell if there's some sort of zoom indicator on here, if they can zoom out more or not.
comparatively
Oh, snap. Yeah, they can. Okay.
modest section of the massive game world. Seriously, just looking at the map had us taken aback by how large Pywell was.
All right. Yeah, what I was gonna say was that the way the map is drawn with the water and the names of the areas and everything, it reminds me of Red Dead's map as well. But yeah, dang, that's large.
It was interesting to take in Crimson Desert's pacing and its deliberately detailed approach to navigating and interacting.
It does
with the
remind me of
world.
Red Dead a lot.
Initially,
Yeah,
it took
me
some
too.
time to get used to. Even as a tutorial, we were kind of surprised to see how much time is spent on getting players to really take in the many features and opportunities to find. Granted, it is very much in the vein of Red Dead Redemption 2's movement and interaction, but admittedly we felt overwhelmed by just how much you could interact with. You can actually go up to nearly all citizens to greet them or even rob them, provided you have a mask to disguise yourself, of course.
I pray the day greets you well.
Despite the range of activities, Crimson Desert is also a combat-heavy game, and even with Cliff's limited skills, the battles you can get into are quite brutal to see unfold. Initially, we started brawling with bandits and goblins around the city. Still, eventually, things took a turn when rival knights and other faction leaders started looking to get a piece of Cliff. The mini-boss battle against Matthias was a particularly thrilling fight, and even as one of the early encounters, it did a good job of showing how visceral the battles can get.
Whew. Oh, quick time.
Eventually, Cliff will make
I haven't
trips
seen
to
any
the
quick
mythical
time
Abyss
events.
realm, where we navigated a series of floating ruins far in the sky. Stepping into these visually stunning environments was one of the best moments from our hands-on time, and it also gave us a jaw-dropping view of the world's vast landscape. These are also segments that introduce the new Abyss powers in some puzzle platforming challenges. These magic powers elevate Cliff's combat and traversal skills to use his Force-style powers to manipulate objects and use a Force jump ability to propel him off the ground. Eventually, we were granted the ability to glide and took it out for a spin by skydiving back towards the ground. It is a fun ability to use, but it definitely takes a ton of stamina to get the most out of it.
The power to soar through the
Oh,
open
whoa,
sky.
whoa, whoa. Okay,
Of
so it's
stamina to get the
different than
most out of it.
Zelda.
The power.
So you've got your stamina wheel, and while you're gliding, the stamina wheel drains. But I think what that showed, let's see, yeah, stamina wheel drains as you're gliding. And then when you start free falling, the stamina actually comes back. Okay, so that's different than Zelda. So there's going to be like this like little turn it on, turn it off sort of mini game to it.
Open skies is yours to command.
Throughout the game, Cliff will acquire Abyss Catalysts, which will serve as skill points to upgrade stats and unlock new abilities. These upgrades include improved...
What did that say? Endure damage taken during combat. Okay. So health. So red section is going to be health oriented, maybe physical. And I think there was a red, green, and blue. I wonder if it's just going to be, well, health, stamina, magic? Or is it going to be like physical, like strength, agility, magic?
skill points to upgrade stats.
Ooh, from Reddit. Back to it.
Unlock new abilities. These upgrades include improved jumping and more combat skills such as a suplex and more advanced sword strikes. In addition to exploring towns and the surrounding wilderness, we also get to see the early goings-on of the Greymane faction system, which focuses on building up a crew, sending them on missions, and gaining new resources. Though we weren't able to see it evolve much, it was impressive to see that it's actually a full-fledged management system that will continue to grow as you explore the world. We really enjoyed the flow and action in Crimson Desert, and completing the tutorial was a solid onboarding to the larger adventure ahead. Based on our previous hands-on time, Crimson Desert currently feels much more intuitive and less complicated with its controls. Still, it had the recurring issue of being too complicated for its own good, with its systems trying to cram actions and features into a fairly limited set of submenus and combinations. For instance, you'll often have to manually equip key items and gear to activate some prompts, which can feel cumbersome. This all ties back into the attempts to make players feel like they're having a more tangible connection to the world, but it can often feel too overcomplicated for its own good. Along with the opening...
Okay. Well, one, that does remind me of some like older Zelda games. Like trying to equip different key items and like... well, Ocarina, definitely. But in Twilight Princess or something like that. Special device that reads memory fragments. Hold left on the D-pad and select the device from your armor slot to witness the memories within while these... Okay, so you hold left on the D-pad to bring up a radial menu, and then in the radial menu, you have two tabs, armor and weapon. And so if you have a key item that you use from within the menu, you have to be on the correct tab, and then use your stick, I assume, to hover over the item, select it, and then it brings up a secondary radial menu over here where you can select what you want to do with it. Yeah, that seems tricky. Seems like it might be solved by playing mouse and keyboard.
This all ties back into the attempts to make players feel like they're having a more tangible connection to the world, but it can often feel too overcomplicated for its own good. Along with the opening chapters, we also got a chance to get another look at the mid-game of Crimson Desert, which saw a powered-up Cliff take on new enemies and a more powerful boss that matches up to his souped-up skills. Moreover, Crimson Desert also includes new party members that can be swapped in if you want to try a different combat style. While Cliff is still the central protagonist, playing as the tanky berserker Unka or the nimble and fierce Damien offers up some fun alternatives to Cliff's playstyle. It does well to showcase the variety within Crimson Desert and how the game will ramp up with more zany encounters that blur the lines between a high fantasy adventure and steampunk fantasy. Even with the lengthy hands-on time, we were still only scratching the surface of the larger adventures to be had in Crimson Desert. There have been many games in the past that try to go for large, open-world settings, but don't often really justify the need to go big and bold. But we were honestly quite impressed to see that Crimson Desert is not only presenting a case for its take on an open-world action-adventure game, it is also having fun with the concept by pushing its attention to detail and just how much there is to unpack within the sprawling world. So far, Crimson Desert is showing a lot of promise. It's certainly been on minds for several years now, which has invited a host of comparisons with other large-scale games. But our extended hands-on time has made us feel optimistic and intrigued by the game's maximalist action style. And that's gotten us plenty interested in seeing if the full game can deliver on reaching the same highs as other genre greats. For more on the latest upcoming games, check out our recent previews of Samson, a Tintleston story, and...
That's all right. Yeah, I'm so pumped. I get what they're saying about the systems and it becoming slightly cumbersome or overcomplicated. They're trying to do a lot, and I could see how, there might be some pitfalls that come along, but I think this game just shows too much promise to fail completely. I don't see how it could. What's up, Luke? Are you ready for Crimson Desert? If you're ready, shake my hand. Good boy.